Hello and welcome to this lecture, which is lecture 7. And in this one, we will add textures and get some colors to our terrain. These textures are called satmaps, so that's why that's in the title. So in order to add textures to our terrain, we will have to do a little bit of setup. We are going to use FX nodes, combine nodes, and create portals. We haven't talked about portals yet, but we will soon, and these are really handy. For now, let's begin with an FX node. So we go here where we left off, and from our lakes node and its output, make sure output is selected, and drag, drop, and type FX. Select this one. Can rename this one, right click and rename. Let's call it terrain texture. It just shortens it. It's just a short form. So you can right click and select this collapse here from the menu if you want the full title. What we now need to do is from this FX node, drag from output and simply let go and select make portal. Don't be scared or intimidated if you don't understand what we are doing exactly now, because it will make sense in just a little bit. We created a FX node and simply turned this output connector into a portal. So a portal is a concept in graph-based applications. You can think of it as a wormhole. It allows us to connect nodes across gaps and have no visible connection. So it's simply a quality of life feature and is helpful in creating organized graphs. You will see in just a few seconds how we used this portal we created. So let's choose an empty spot somewhere down here. And we right click and we type FX. So drag from input and simply let go. Then select portals and terrain texture. Now we can immediately see we have connected this output with this input. So just imagine a line going here, an edge going here. It's just to create a more organized chart. In fact, what we also could do was we could click up here, add new graph, create graph, and we could have created our FX node inside here and also selected the portal. We're not going to do that right now, but it's a possibility. And if you want to, you can. I just want to keep everything on the same page here now, on the same graph, so everything is visible and easier to jump between things when I'm explaining. But if you want to keep it really organized, create new tabs. These two nodes are connected and there's no edge going from output to input, but it's there. Just think of it as invisible. This is something you will come across in many graph-based applications. Also, don't worry about not seeing the trees right now, because our forest is still here if we click the arboreal node and have it highlighted. But it's simply because we have the FX node selected that the forest is not visible, but don't mind, it's still there. Before we start adding textures here, let's check out these nodes. We have the rivers node and the lakes node. So what we want to do is actually combine these two so we can apply a color, the same color, to both nodes. In order to do this, we will again use FX nodes. You will become really familiar with the FX node. From the rivers node and particularly the depth connector, we drag from it up here, FX, just type. So that's one. We do the same from lakes, and this time we will use the lakes connector. Type F, X, and select. Going to pan up here. I'm just holding Control and using left mouse button. Going to drag it up here. Just trying to organize a little bit as we go. Now create a combine node. Just right click, type combine, select, and we'll drag this output to input 1 and this output to input 2. And I will right click this node and call it combined lakes rivers. And in its settings, we will set this method to max and the blend ratio to 100%. Again, I will create a portal here from this output. Make portal. Just left click, drag, and select make portal. Select this FX node that is connected to the rivers node. And in the properties panel here, make sure that LV is enabled. Immediately as I click LV, you can see the river appear. So LV is auto level and it raises the terrain, in this case only the river, so the height is proportionately distributed between the highest and the lowest points. And this is helpful for us in the case of adding color to the rivers. Because we need it just for texturing purposes, we're not actually raising the level in the terrain. It's just for these FX nodes and for our satmaps that we will add soon. So an FX node is simply a layer. If you think about an application like Photoshop, you will add an adjustment layer on top of another layer to edit it in a non-destructive way, and that is the same with the FX node we use here in Gaia. Let's go back down here to our FX node, select it, drag from the output, and then we type texture. Drag it back a little bit. Immediately you can see that we have a texture applied. This is not the color we will use, but is just for example, it draws a texture on it. Now we will drag from the output of the texture and type sat, S-A-T. Select satmaps. And once more, exactly the same. So don't mind the colors too much for now. We will change them really soon. We just have to do a little bit of setup so we can easier control this. So from the FX node and the output, drag and then type SL and select the slope. This slope is something we will use to control where this top satmap draws its texture and where the bottom one draws its texture, and it will be based on altitude and angle. So drag this slope here, and to make this work we will need a combine node. And don't get frustrated now if things seem complex or if you don't understand, because it's actually really simple and it will make sense as soon as we have connected everything. Drag this satmap output, input 1, and the other one, input 2. Then from the slope output, drag into mask. Hopefully you are familiar with masks already, but a mask is simply something you use to decide where something will take place. Let's actually rename these. Right click the top satmap and select rename. and type rocky. And for the bottom one, right click, rename, and type green. So I have picked a couple of colors that I think work well, and I will show you those and my settings, but of course you can choose anything you like the look of. That's the most important thing. So I'm going to select the rocky one, and you see up here in satellite maps library, you can choose between rocky, sandy, green, blue, colorful, and legacy. These are categories of textures. So rocky, you just use your scroll wheel on the mouse or drag here. And the one I liked is 0107. Here we go. And then I go back to the green one, the bottom sat map, and I select green up here. And this time I want 0276. Here we go. And right now you can see everything is green. And this is why we created the slope node and the combine here. So I'm going to select this one, combine, and we are going to pin. Remember the pin, so when I work here now, it's still combined, and in the rendering we see everything together. So in the slope here, I'm going to change these settings. Of course, you can play around with these and get something you like. Or I will just use the settings that I have already found and that I liked. So minimum, I'm going to set this to 9. And the max to 15. And fall off to 13. We have an inspection here now. I think this looks pretty good. We can see that the higher up we get, the less dirt we have and the less green. It's more rocky. And lower down in the valley, we have lots of green. But of course, feel free to adjust it as you want. So, add another combine node. I'm going to deselect this pin here. Remove the pin. Then drag from input 2 here and type CL and select the clutter node, clutter. So CLUT stands for color lookup table. And this allows us to select a color for the rivers node. Well, for the river and lake node, because in the input here, drag, select the portal and the combined lakes and rivers. Remember how we combined the lakes and rivers here with 2 FX nodes, going from the rivers node, lakes node, and into a combined node, and then we made the output a portal. So that's why we did that. And now we can select colors here. I think I'm going with something kind of blue. Like maybe light blue. So, and make sure this bottom here stays black. Otherwise we color the whole landscape. We only want to color the rivers and the lake. The only thing we're missing now is the snow. Let's go back up here and our snowfall node and make this snow connector a portal. Make portal. Go down here again. And we have to do another combine node. And for input 2 here, we can select the snowfall. This combine node, we set the ratio to 100%. I see now that I actually want to change the settings for the snowfall a little bit. So I'm decreasing the duration and intensity 19, it's fine. The settle thaw, maybe to 50%. And one more thing, this combine node, we'll have to set ratio to 100%. And add. This is really important. Now you can see we have our whole landscape here now. And we have colors for our lake and rivers, and everything is colored in. We will also have to do the same with this last combine node. Set the method to add and the ratio to 100%. Now it looks as it should. All we need to do in order to see everything all at once, because as you may have noticed, where are our forests? Our forest is gone, but simply select the arboreal node here and right click, and then you select pin as underlay. And that is how you make sure everything is displayed all at once. Now, of course, I can see immediately that we have maybe too much growth high up here because we have tree growth in our snow. So we can adjust that right away. Let's check the settings here for altitude. We have altitude max at 6%. And we have a slope max of 30. Let's decrease the slope max here. And try the altitude max. This is looking better. We still have some tree growth here, but I think it's more important we adjust the tree settings to be correct for the landscape further down here. And then we can instead, inside Unreal Engine, we can remove any tree growth from this high up. So that's actually it for this lecture, and the next episode we will get everything correctly set up for export. So we can then export files that can be used in Unreal Engine.